All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Gonna make a short little video. Just I'm gonna do a little chatting, a little painting, but the first thing I'm going to talk about is this guy right here. I know the lighting is horrible. I apologize for that. But when I tilt it up, you see the brickwork on it. Well, this thing's been had a couple of coats of glue, and it's been painted gray and then given a heavy black wash. So right now, all it's waiting for is a dry brush, and I'm going to use a light brown and a gray kind of a mix because I find having a little bit of brown in your stone color, at least to me, is a bit more pleasing to the eye and realistic, maybe. Oh, Jesus. Apologies. If I knew how to edit, I'd edit that out. But so let's see. I've got my gray. I want to throw a little white in there as well. And where's my brown color? Is it in the chest of Grugnardia? It is not. At some point today, I want to maybe make a little video talking about this. But not right now. Phantom, calm down. And I'd also maybe like to make a little video talking about that right there. That is second edition Warhammer 40K. So, as I said earlier, I do not have my Rope Trader book. One, the thing fell apart, and two, I traded it off probably for $3. If I'm honest, I probably got $3 out of the thing. And there we go. I don't even see the color on this. Oh, territorial beige. So this beige is very territorial. Be aware. So you can do whatever mix you want. My mix, I'm obviously I'm eyeballing it. You see what's going on here. It's probably about 2/3 gray, 1/3 brown. Grab my brush. I'm just using a 1-inch brush. I got it at Home Depot when I was painting the house. Cut-in brush. Now I gotta try and get it dry because otherwise, dry brushing doesn't work real well when you got a really wet brush. I know most of you probably know that. Let's give her a mix. It makes kind of a really warm gray. Alright. I don't know if this is going to be enough paint to do what I want to do with it. So, knock most of it off. Come over to my palette. Let's try it out down here and see what we got. Well, it's a nice color, I'll tell you that. And again, I find that adding a little brown. Now, I didn't come up with the idea of this thing that I'm working on right now. I honestly don't know who came up with this idea, but I do know where I saw it. And I saw it on the Dungeon Professor's channel. The Dungeon Professor, Dan Dan Masters, I believe. His channel is called Dungeon Crack, and he talks a lot about, well, just awesome stuff. If you're into role playing games and you've never heard of this guy or saw his channel, you're really 100% missing out. I mean, the guy's a genius. And I think, and a professor in real life, actually. So, but he's a good guy, I think. And I'm the kind of guy that doesn't really like taking advice from anyone about D&D, because very rarely do I find anyone that I feel like knows as much about it as I do. And I base that on just having, ran Dungeons and Dragons for, at this point, 33 or 34 years. So, a guy who's been running the game for 5 years or something trying to tell me anything, that might seem weird, but, roll into work one day as a new guy on the job and try telling all the old guys that have been there forever how stuff is to be done, and see how quick you get yourself a bad reputation. I think that might be a problem, going off on a tangent, but some of the younger guys coming up, they seem to, I don't know, have this weird view like their opinion matters even though they haven't put in the time. And that's not just about Dungeons and Dragons, that's just about life in general, So like, is it fair? Maybe, maybe not, but you gotta put in the time, man. Can't just show up out of the blue, pick up a book, especially if the only edition you've ever played is whatever the current edition is, and then start having all these opinions about the way the game should be. I mean, well, you can do that. You absolutely can do that. But someone like me is going to laugh at you. Especially someone like me that doesn't play the newest edition. Because after running it for about 3 years, I just realized it was not very good. And I don't mean that mathematically. 5th edition's a perfectly serviceable game, rules-wise, overall. I mean, but every game is. Very few games out there will I dislike because of the game mechanics. Shadowrun's one. I just do not like those mechanics. And it's not a hatred of Die 6 mechanics, because I absolutely love West End games. Star Wars. Is just Shadowrun, it's, in my opinion, it's much ado about nothing. It's overly complicated. There's too many steps to do anything. So, I'm not a fan of that. The setting, on the other hand, I find to be amazing. And I've said that multiple times, and I'll say it to anyone who'll listen. The lore, just the whole idea of goblinization and stuff like that is just interesting as hell. It's just a really good setting, and the guy who come up with it, I think, is Weiss. Might be his name. His last name, I don't remember his first name. Is pretty much genius, The idea of a combination of fantasy and a dystopian future and magic, together. That's just really cool. The problem I run into with that game is all of mechanical, just 100% mechanical. And for my money, if you're wanting to play Cyberpunk, play Cyberpunk by Art Talsorian Games, if I remember correctly, created by a guy named Pondsmith. Just a better game, you know. Shadowrun does some stuff lore wise that to me is just too try hard, and I don't dig it. And I understand that they're trying to come up with drama, and that part I dig. But there's just some things that are hard to believe, like a group of humanist poly club people sexually assaulting a troll. I mean, that's just something that just simply in the real world would never happen. And in that world, I'm not even sure how it could happen. I mean, trolls are massively strong. Can you imagine even the smallest troll getting jumped by a bunch of random yahoos with the intent of, forcing them? So, no. That story in the book was shocking, and I generally don't like when any book is overly flippant with, sexual assault. And I'm not a child. I mean, I've read the Song of Ice and Fire and a lot of history. I'm aware that that sort of stuff happens, but, I don't think that was proper use. And I thought it was kind of laughable. Also, the Humanist Poly Club, yeah, they're the bad guys. I think we can all agree they're the bad guys. But if you have any sort of broad mindedness, you have to understand that these are people whose entire reality has changed. I mean, I know they're trying to draw a line between the different metahumans and race struggles that minorities have dealt with in the past, but orcs are not black people. Well, maybe in Shadowrun some are, but that's not the point I'm making. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine, if you had a kid and raised it, like if I was raising my little girls and when they turned 13, they goblinized into trolls. I mean, I would still love them and be their daddy because, I love my kids no matter what. Well, I say that, but I'm lying. I love them as long as they don't turn out to be, Nazis or serial killers or something like that. If I found out that one of my children was a Ted Bundy or something, then I probably would not love them anymore. It would break my heart. But I wouldn't be like, well, that's my kid, and I love it no matter what. And that could be something missing in me. Maybe I'm missing something important spiritually. But if one of my kids just become an evil person, running around doing evil things, then I would have to disavow. So, yeah, there you go. So I'm gonna hold this up so maybe you can see what we're dealing with right this second. All right, you see that? Now that's gonna be the finished. After I'm done with this, and the inside's being done, but not the roofs. I painted them black, and I'm leaving them that black glue. It's gonna get a nice, thick, hard coat of satin Siller, and that'll keep the paint on. Oh, I got a message. That'll keep the paint on. It'll continue to make it even stronger than it already is. And then it will go on my table, and it will become the new home of my Otherworld Dungeons and Dragons models. Oh, geez. I have friends that are constantly sending me memes and some of them are very, very naughty. I'm just gonna say that. I hang out with weird people. I love them all though. I do. From the Bernie Bros all the way to everyone else, but some of these cats need some help. And I say that as a person who is making a career out of getting help. But anyway, yeah, Shadowrun's a great story, and I've read the novels. Well, I've read some of the novels, probably about. Well, I read Never Trust an Elf. I read Never Trust a Dragon. I read the one about the troll hitman, who in the end he like turns good and tries to save this lady, or does save her, and and that was a good one too. And that's the thing about Shadowrun, is Shadowrun had some amazing novelization made of it. Would make a really good movie, and that's if you don't count Bright, which was on HBO, as a Shadowrun movie, which you almost could. I mean, it was Shadowrun by any other name, let's be honest. Their depiction of the orcs and the elves was pretty much spot on. I mean, they added some things that I'm not familiar with in Shadowrun, but I'm sure they probably exist in one source book or another. Like centaurs and stuff. They're probably in a source book that I just haven't read or something. So, I mean, they changed how magic worked, but the basic idea of the orc cop and the human cop and the orc gangs and elves living in the beautiful neighborhoods and being treated better than other people. I mean, that's Shadowrun stuff right there. In Shadowrun, elves are the privileged group based on the fact that they're beautiful and smart. Whereas trolls and orcs, to a degree, are not attractive, and also, at least in the older editions, there tended to be the assumption that most orcs and trolls were kind of stupid. Though, now that I think about character generation, I don't remember if there was anything in the rules that, like a penalty to your intellect or whatever for an orc and a troll, but I'm sure the hardcore Shadowrun players who may see this will point out if there was or was not. I don't remember. It's been, many, many years since we played Shadowrun. many, many years. And the last time I played Shadowrun, I played a human Street Sam. And the time before that, there used to be a couple guys we hung out with that would run Shadowrun, and that was cool because it gave me a chance to play. Before I played the Street Sam, my last character before that was a human shaman. And if you're seeing a trend on my selection of race, then you're not wrong. I always play human. Not that I'm opposed to other players playing whatever, but I always play human when given a chance. I just really think the human story is the most interesting story. Like, I mean, these other things, I have no. It's coming out really good. I'm gonna love this. I'm gonna stick all of my orcs and trolls and hobgoblins and goblins and what on this thing. And I'm gonna look at it every damn thing. That's pretty badass. But anyway, I don't know if I could role play an elf. My first D&D character was an elf, but that don't really count because he only lived about 15 minutes of game time before he missed finding a pit. Honestly, I didn't even look for it. And I walked on it and fell down the pit and took 6 points of damage for the fall. And my character only had 4 hit points. And that was the end of Moldvay Basic Elron the Elf. Or I think I changed it and it was like Eldron or whatever, you know. But anybody knows what I was doing. I was a 13-year-old kid who was completely infatuated with Tolkien. And everybody knows in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, Elrond is just, you know, he's just a badass. So my first character was, I guess instead of saying I copied, I'll say I was inspired by. But no, I copied. Alright. This thing's made entirely out of wood glue, paint, dense insulating foam, the pink kind, and about a dozen 3-inch wood screws. And it's super light, probably doesn't even weigh a pound, maybe a pound, but it's super light and will easily support all of my miniatures. While looking stylish, we can call this nerd chic. And like I said, again, because we're getting towards the end of this video, Dungeon Professor, his YouTube channel is Dungeon Craft. The host is Dan Masters. He is an OG D&D guy. He actually wrote for TSR back in the day. And if you're going to take advice on D&D from anyone that isn't Gary Gygax, you know, hallowed be his name, may he rest in peace, Dan Masters would be a good one. He's just an even-keeled guy, and his videos, how he reworked B2, Caves of Chaos, well, it's Keep on Borderland, but he reworked the Caves of Chaos as well as the Keep itself, are inspirational. And no insult to Gary Gygax, but some of the changes Dan Masters makes in his Caves of Carnage, I think he calls it, adaptation, are really great ideas. Just super interesting. Now he does change up what goblins are in that, and his thing, I believe he says goblins are actually mutated halflings or something. And I don't do that. I keep my goblinoids traditional. But that's a minor point. That doesn't change the fact that his Caves of Chaos, Carnage are amazing. They're really good. His whole style of D&D is really good. He plays a Frankenstein blend of Dungeons and Dragons. Again, I'm talking about the guy. I mean, if you watch this, anything I just said sounds interesting, you need to watch him. Because if you watch that guy, and I say this as someone who's been playing the game for 30 plus years, this is a guy on YouTube who will actually help you up your game no matter who you are. Right? He's got that old school cred, he's an educated man, and his ideas are amazing. His Facebook group is a lot of fun. Great people on there sharing really good ideas as well. So, let's see. I'm going to cut this up at 30 minutes, so 4 minutes from now. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and talk. So why Cyberpunk over Shadowrun? Well, it doesn't have the magic, but the demi-human races or whatever, the meta-human races, that would be easy to throw into Cyberpunk 2020. Not even as meta-human races, but in Cyberpunk 2020, you have a lot of cosmetic surgeries and stuff that people do. So having a street game in Night City that's maybe based on orcs, so Sons of Sauron or Sons of Saruman or whatever you want to do, that is 100% believable according to the lore. And you just do it by saying that the so-called orcs received, severe levels of cosmetic surgery to make them look like orcs, maybe some bone lacing or some tusks implanted, had the skin pigment changed. I mean, Cyberpunk, in a lot of ways, the level of technology in Cyberpunk is actually higher than that in Shadowrun. In a lot of ways. And another thing about Cyberpunk as opposed to Shadowrun is Cyberpunk has like 4 damn books that are cybernetic enhancements, biological enhancements, gene therapies and all kinds of things like that. I remember there was an adventure a while back where you were trying to stop somebody who had cyber psychosis, I think it was running amok like a serial killer or something. And he was victimizing a brothel that was mostly stocked with prostitutes who had surgery to make themselves look like anime cat girls. Or, So that was a thing. All right. So next step for this bad boy, let's put that brush so it don't get ruined. Make sure I didn't fold it. All right. So there you go. Now, if I want to get like really fancy and I'm thinking about it and maybe add some doors in there, I've got a bunch of 3D printed doors that are HeroScape doors that I've 3D printed. I could easily just glue them in, maybe hot glue or just wood glue or whatever. Wood glue will hold resin. You wouldn't want to use it for a model, but when you're gluing like something like that would be fine. And then go in with a little brush and paint that up and everything. And then again, I've got a couple of cans already setting aside of Rust-Oleum, which normally you'd have to worry about how that aerosol paints would interact with this foam. But because it has, and you hear that, it has such a nice thick coat of glue and paint on it, and I made sure to cover the whole thing. That Rust-Oleum won't be an issue at all. And then let it dry, set it up on my game desk, stock it out with monsters. You know, you can almost imagine that that's maybe different levels of a dungeon. I might even do that where I'll put all my goblins and stuff up here and just put the tougher monsters the further you go down. And that's pretty much it. So that's it. That's done. That just needs a coat of Siller. And it really doesn't need the coat of Siller, but I'm going to do it anyway because it'll make it stronger. So that's my video for today. And I hope you like it. And again, I direct you to Dungeon Craft. If you're not aware of this guy, get aware. And with that, I'm going to sign off. So, God bless America, and have a wonderful day.